ASMR. I'm Nicole. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in to this channel. I truly appreciate you. And if you're new here and you enjoy whispered true crime, please consider subscribing to the channel. I post 2 times a week, on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Now let's get right into tonight's case. Tonight we are traveling to Argentina. Shout out to all my friends in Argentina. Now I'm pretty sure that the majority of everyone who is listening right now has heard about this tragic case, which just happened last week. I am filming this on Sunday, October 20th, I think, and it is going up tomorrow, hopefully. So this is an extremely new occurrence, and many of us have been deeply touched by this tragedy. I myself was completely shocked when I saw the news report last Wednesday night, and I screamed out, "Oh my God." And my daughter was like, "What?" And I said, "Liam Payne from One Direction is dead." And she said, "Oh, I knew that already." She's like, "I figured you already heard." We were all just completely shocked. Nobody saw that coming at all. Nobody. So, I myself love their music. Love One Direction's music. I would not call myself a fan. It's not really directed at my demographic. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'm gonna start with some background on Liam Payne. He was born in Wolverhampton, England. That is a city and metropolitan borough in the West Midlands, England. It is 13 miles northwest of Birmingham. So he was born on August 29th, 1993, to his parents Karen and Jeff Payne. His mother worked as an infant nurse, and his father was what they refer to as a fitter. And I looked that up. A fitter puts together or installs machinery, engines, diesel engines, or other equipment used at a power plant, manufacturing facility, oil and gas plant, or in mining operations. I wonder if there's a quicker explanation than that. If you know of maybe a synonym for fitter, let me know. Anyway, Liam had 2 older sisters. He had been born 3 weeks premature and suffered frequent illnesses as a child. He had written in a book years later that before he was 4, quote, "I was always in hospital having tests done, but they couldn't find out what was wrong. They discovered that one of my kidneys wasn't working properly, and it had scarred the pursuit of cross-country running. And for 3 years, he was ranked in the top 3 1,500-meter runners in the country for his age group. Now, apparently, as a child, he was bullied quite a bit by older children, so he began to take boxing lessons at the age of 12. Also, in that same year, he began his showbiz career as a member of Pink Productions Theater Company, and he played Tony Manero on their production of Saturday Night Fever. Now, Tony Manero was the lead. If you've seen the movie, that was the character played by John Travolta. When he was 14, in 2008, that is when Liam auditioned for the show The X Factor in front of judges Simon Cowell, Cheryl Cole, Danny Minogue, I might not be pronouncing that right, sorry, and Lewis Walsh. And he made it past the first round, and he performed Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon, which he did very well. I have watched it. And after making it to the round that was called Judges Houses Stage, he was cut. But he was encouraged to come back in 2 years by Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell specifically told him, quote, "Come back in 2 years." So he did. In 2010, when he was 16, I guess, he auditioned again in front of Cowell, Cole, Walsh, and the guest judge was Natalie Imbruglia. He sang the Michael Bublé version of Cry Me a River, and he got 4 yeses and a standing ovation from Simon Cowell. So they were very impressed. He was considered the second favorite to win, but he failed to progress to the boys category. It was called boys category at judges' houses. But after a suggestion by guest judge Nicole Scherzinger, Liam Payne, along with Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Louis Tomlinson, and Zayn Malik, were put together to form a 5-piece boy band during the boot camp stage of the competition, and that would qualify them for the groups category. So apparently they had all been on the X Factor that season as individuals, or however you call it, and they were put together into that group by Nicole Scherzinger. Okay, so this group then got together to practice for 2 weeks, and for their first song as a group, they performed an acoustic version of Torn. Simon Cowell later commented that the performance convinced him that the group, quote, were confident, fun, like a gang of friends, and kind of fearless as well, end quote. But, believe it or not, they did not win. I wonder who did. But they came in 3rd place. Regardless, after appearing on the X Factor, One Direction was signed to Simon Cowell's Cisco Entertainment. A book licensed by One Direction called One Direction Forever Young, Our Official X Factor Story was released in February 2011 and topped the Sunday Times Zayn's parts in the songs. In November of 2015, One Direction's fifth album, which was called Made in the AM, was released. 2 singles from that album debuted at number 1 in various countries, and the album reached number 1 in the UK and number 2 on the US Billboard 200. So they were still doing phenomenally even after Zayn left. But after that, the group went on a permanent hiatus, or that's how it turned out, in 2016. Now, Liam was known as one of the principal songwriters in One Direction. He was credited for co-writing more than half of the songs on their third and fourth album. Together with Louis Tomlinson, Liam Payne was also One Direction's top earner. Tomlinson was known for his lyrics, and Payne was known for coming up with the melodies. After the band split up, Liam Payne worked on his solo career, and he collaborated with many well-known musicians on various projects. His solo career was successful, but it was nothing like the success that he had felt while in One Direction. He had 4 charting songs and 1 Billboard Top 10 hit in his solo career, and that was 2017's Strip That Down featuring Quavo. His most recent single is Teardrops, and that was released on March 1st of this year, 2024. So now let's go back a little bit and talk about his personal life. In 2016, he began dating Cheryl Cole, who had been one of the judges on The X Factor. They had 1 son, who was born in March of 2017, and that son is now 7 years old. Their relationship ended in 2018, and then the next year, he started dating British model and actress Naomi Campbell. Later in that year, in 2019, he started dating model Maya Henry. They became engaged in August of 2020, but they broke up in June of 2021, and then they reunited later that year and became engaged again, but they finally broke up in May of 2022, so it was clearly an on-again, off-again relationship. In August of 2023, he was hospitalized with a kidney infection. Later, he announced that he had been to rehab for 100 days and had been sober for 6 months. Now let's go ahead and move up to the recent events. So Liam Payne was 31 years old, and on September 30th of 2024, he arrived in Buenos Aires, Argentina, with his girlfriend, Kate Cassidy, and they began a TikTok travel vlog showing their daily adventures throughout the vacation. On October 2nd, Liam attended his former bandmate Niall Horan's concert, posting many Snapchats from the night. There were videos of him dancing at the show and videos of One Direction fans coming up to him and going wild to see him. There were also reunion photos with Horan, and Liam said in clips that he was, quote, feeling great, and also that he was proud of Horan. On October 5th, Liam and Kate saw a Paul McCartney concert. On October 6th, his ex-fiancée, the one who he was on again, off again with, Maya Henry, she posted a TikTok video addressing backlash that she's received from One Direction fans since she has spoken out publicly about Liam in a negative light. She had claimed that Liam Payne had been obsessively trying to contact her and her family since their 2022 breakup, and she said that he had called from different phone numbers and created new iCloud accounts to message her. She also said that the fiction book that she had just released, called Looking Forward, was based on Liam Payne's alleged abusive behavior towards her. So that was October 6th. Then on October 12th, Liam's current girlfriend, Kate, left Buenos Aires. She left Liam behind. He stayed and she left. And she went to Miami. She said that she was, quote, so ready to leave, end quote, South America. And she said the trip was only supposed to last for 5 days, but it was extended to 2 weeks. And she was, quote, so happy to be home, end quote. The day after Kate left, so October 13th or the 14th maybe, so it was a day or two later, Liam was reportedly kicked out of the hotel he had been staying in. It was called Palacio Duhau Park Hyatt, Buenos Aires. And they had said that he was thrown out, quote, because he was being a nuisance and disturbing the other guests and appeared intoxicated, end quote. So he moved to a different hotel, and that was the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel. On October 14th, his ex-fiancée, Maya Henry, her podcast interview on The Internet Is Dead was published. And in that interview, she discussed alleged abuse and manipulation by Liam, claiming he messaged her all the time and would apologize for what he put her through. She claimed he would tell her he was, quote, not doing well and was going to die, end quote. She was trying to say that he was using those kind of expressions as a way to manipulate was suing Liam. Reportedly, she had retained attorneys and, quote, issued a cease and desist last week to Liam Payne following the emergence of new and concerning information, end quote. On October 16th, Liam Payne was seen in the lobby of the hotel he was staying at, the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel. There are photos taken by other people who were staying in the hotel of him lounging on a chair with his laptop. Hotel guests have claimed that he was acting erratically and smashed the laptop. The hotel manager called 911 2 times that day. The first one was at 5:04 p.m. when he said that Payne was under the influence of, quote, drugs and alcohol and was trashing his entire room, end quote. The manager expressed how urgent the matter was, saying that Payne's, quote, life may be in danger, end quote, and he noted that Payne was, quote, in a room with a balcony and, well, we're a little afraid, end quote. 3 minutes after that call, he called again, so that was 5:07 p.m. Payne fell to the ground from the balcony of his 3rd floor hotel room. Nobody saw him fall, but many people heard him screaming, and then the loud noise when he fell. And then the first responders arrived at 5:11 p.m. So that all happened really fast. So it was 5:04 was the first call. 5:07 the manager called to say he had fallen. And 5:11 they were there already, the first responders. But sadly, he was dead on arrival due to the severity of his injuries. And the Buenos Aires police said that they found Liam's hotel room, quote, in complete disarray, end quote. They found over-the-counter medications, energy packs, and the anxiety drug Klonopin. They also found various items in the room broken, such as the television. And in one article I read, it said that a drug called Crystal, spelled Crystal, was found. I only saw this written in one article, okay? And it said that that is a potent hallucinogenic that causes blackouts and psychotic episodes. Several sources have said that investigators believe someone in the hotel supplied him with drugs, and there have been unconfirmed reports that at least one employee has been fired. Now, where Liam was found on the ground in the courtyard, there was a whiskey bottle, a lighter, and a cell phone as well. And they're doing testing to find out if those were his, if he fell with those items or if they belonged to someone else entirely. Prosecutors say they believe that Liam was alone in the room when he fell. Reportedly, 2 women had been in his room earlier that day, but they had left before all of this. After he had died, some Snapchat videos went up on his account, but it's been said that either he scheduled them before he died or people who worked for him had scheduled them. Now, the autopsy that was done determined that he died medical examiners determined, quote, 25 injuries described in the autopsy were compatible with those caused by a fall. The head injuries were significant enough to have caused his death alone, and there were no defensive injuries on his body, so it appeared he had not been fighting with somebody prior to his death. The statement also said, quote, given the position in which the body was left and the injuries from the fall, it is presumed that Payne did not adopt a reflex posture to protect himself, and that he could have fallen into a state of semi or total unconsciousness, end quote. Meaning that it's not like he put out his arms to try to brace himself, or he didn't do anything to try to protect himself from the fall, which is something that most people would do reflexively, like on instinct, you know. According to the prosecutor's statement, quote, everything indicates that the musician was alone when the fall occurred, as he was going through some kind of outbreak due to substance abuse, end quote. His girlfriend Kate Cassidy has spoken out since his death, and she said on Instagram, quote, Liam, my angel, you are everything. I want you to know I loved you unconditionally and completely. I will continue to love you for the rest of my life, end quote. The members of One Direction released a statement reacting to the news. Quote, we're completely devastated by the news of Liam's passing. In time, and when everyone is able to, there will be more to say. But for now, we will take some time to grieve and process the loss of our brother, who we loved dearly. The memories we shared with him will be treasured forever. For now, our thoughts are with his family, his friends, and the fans who loved him alongside us. We will miss him terribly. We love you, Liam, end quote. His family released a statement as well, saying, quote, we are heartbroken. Liam will forever live in our hearts, and will remember him for his kind, funny, and brave soul. We are supporting each other the best we can as a family, and ask for privacy and space at this awful time, end quote. Now, we have found out since Liam's death that his music career had been hit by a major blow just days before he died. He had been dropped by his record label, Universal. A source said, quote, Liam's advance was massive and he didn't recoup it, end quote. Liam's second album had been put on hold after his latest solo single, Teardrops, failed to chart upon its release in March. And in September, Liam had parted ways with his longtime public relations manager as well. We have also found out why he went to Argentina and why his girlfriend left before him. A source told reporters, quote, Liam's U.S. visa was expiring, and he had to leave America to renew it, so he decided to go to Buenos Aires to see Niall Horan perform and get his new visa, end quote. But it turned out once he got there, and he went to the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires, he found out that the officials there had been Googling him and found out that he had been dealing with a drug and alcohol addiction and had been in rehab. The source that I just mentioned before said this, quote, because of all the tests, he ended up getting stuck there, end quote. So Kate had flown back to Miami ahead of Liam to take care of their dog. The source went on to say, quote, he had no money and his credit cards weren't working, so he was spending all his time in the room. On Tuesday, he asked for a McDonald's. He was happy and in good spirits. The test results all came back totally clean on Tuesday, and he had an appointment at the embassy to get his passport stamped with the visa on Thursday. And then he was going to leave Argentina immediately. So everything was a success regarding his visa, according to this source, and he was going to leave on Thursday, but he died on Wednesday, unfortunately. Now, the source said that a family friend visited him around 10 a.m. Wednesday morning to deliver his favorite American-style chocolate chip cookies from a bakery 3 blocks from the hotel. Quote, he seemed a bit tipsy, like he had been drinking, but wasn't in a bad state. He was happy. He was replicating Fireproof on his computer. He loved recreating instrumentals, and that was his favorite One Direction song. He was redoing the beat. He was in a good place, planning for the future, looking forward to going home to Miami to his girlfriend and his dog, end quote. So, reportedly, Liam had coffee with his friend before the friend left, and then after that, Liam ordered whiskey and champagne from the hotel bar and then went back to his room. According to the police, at 11 a.m., 2 prostitutes visited his room, but left after 3 p.m. after they had an argument because he didn't have cash to pay them with. Supposedly, witnesses saw him arguing with the women in the lobby. And then at around 3, which I guess is around the same time when he was arguing with the women, the hotel called his friend, Liam's friend, whose name is Roger Norris. And they told Norris that Liam was causing a disturbance in the lobby, so he came over there and he apologized to the other guests in the lobby, telling them, quote, he's a really nice guy, end quote. And he took Liam up to his room, and then he left. He himself, Mr. Norris, left to run errands. Now, I got all of this information that I'm telling you from the internet. I do try to use the most reliable sources, but you never know, okay? So take it with a grain of salt. A hotel guest named Brett Watson from Chicago told reporters that Liam came back down to the lobby several times after his friend, Mr. Norris, had left him in his room. He came back down several times. So this guest, Brett Watson, said that at one point Liam lay on a sofa in the lobby playing on his computer. And, quote, there was an incident where he was very frustrated and was smashing his laptop in the lobby, end quote. Now says, we don't know, that's like hearsay. Now going back to the source who was telling us about the McDonald's and the cookies and him rewriting a song, that source said, quote, if Liam was convulsing, why didn't the hotel call an ambulance immediately? That is what no one can understand. He never convulsed before. If he was that sick, why did someone take him back to his room and leave him there alone with an open door to the balcony? The narrative so far has been wrong. People have been saying Liam relapsed on drugs and wanted to kill himself because his life was so bad. That wasn't the case. He was in a good place, he was happy, and making plans for the future with Kate, who he loved. Someone gave him drugs, and those drugs caused a psychotic event. The tragedy is, if someone had called an ambulance when he collapsed in the lobby and was convulsing, he would still be alive, end quote. And that is the case. What are your thoughts? I will share some of mine. Rest in peace to Liam Payne. He will be missed by millions of people. My heart goes out to his 7-year-old son, who now has to grow up without a father. And of course, my heart goes out to his entire family, all his friends, and to his former bandmates from One Direction. His extremely tragic ending will go down on the long list that is filled with other extremely talented musicians who have also died tragically due to drugs and alcohol. And I can't help but ask, when will this stop? I mean, I know it probably never will, but it is just so senseless that all these amazingly talented people are dying due to drugs and alcohol. Even though I think that most people who are listening to me right now have already heard this a million times, I'm gonna say it anyway. Addiction to drugs and alcohol is extremely powerful and hard to kick. That is why so many people have watched their lives spiral out of control and have so much difficulty in stopping the drug and alcohol use, even though they see the direction that their lives are headed in. Now, do I think that Liam was trying to take his own life? I have to say I'm not sure one way or another, but after hearing what I have heard so far, it sounds to me like he wasn't trying overnight.